Hi everyone, my name is Mike Davis and I'm the professor of UAS technology at our local college and a FAA safety team representative. Now, this presentation is module 3 of a 6-part series designed specifically for the utilities. We will be covering 4 basic topics during this presentation: sensors, the drones, flight control software, and the operational software. When choosing the right equipment for the job, there are a number of factors really to consider, such as the type of operation, data requirements, security requirements, and of course, what is your budget or what's the cost. With so many sensors models available and the various options even within those, selecting the right sensor for your needs can sometimes feel overwhelming. A number of consultants offer a sensor application matrix. By understanding the results you want and then initially selecting the sensor based on the data will satisfy the required results and will give you an initial selection criteria. Hyperspectral is used primarily for research applications to measure spectrograph on the ground. It integrates visible and near infrared and provides detailed information of the Earth. While most popular sensors is the visual or the RGB sensors. Now, a major advantage of visual imagery captured by a UAV is the aerial perspective of a specific area. You're able to basically get a bird's eye view into the high resolution picture without putting in an extra effort for that advantage point. Multispectral sensors is one of the most commonly used scanning systems. Like hyperspectral sensors, it's able to see visible light. This is used primarily in agriculture. Thermal infrared sensors have the ability to measure and read the surface temperature of land or objects beyond the scope of the human eye. It's becoming a very popular sensor for drones. LiDAR is a more traditional surveying tool used to creating point clouds and digital elevation models on the ground. Now, once you have defined the results and sensors that can deliver the data that you need, you can now consider the drone that's going to have to basically pack that sensor. Drone aircraft comes into 2 major physical configurations: the multi-rotor and the fixed wing. There are, of course, advantages and disadvantages to both, but this must be selected based upon your needs. So if we take fixed wing for an example, we find that it's a simple structure. There's a lot less maintenance revolved around these. You can have much longer flight times. It serves very large areas or can survey very large areas and actually can pack heavier payloads. Whereas the disadvantage is that you need a runway or a launcher. You can't hover. And you can't really get close to where hovering allows you to do so. You can't get close to an inspections. And sometimes it's very difficult to land them. Whereas in the multi-rotor, the advantages is just what we was talking about. It's hover, vertical takeoff and landing, used for very close inspections, easier to control, and very good camera control. Now, the disadvantages is short flight times. Instead of going up for a couple hours, you may only be able to go up for 20 to 40 minutes. And it has a smaller payload capacity, cannot glide, and usually cannot cover very large areas due to the flight times. In the multi-rotor drone marketplace, there are a few Chinese manufacturers that have dominated the market. However, DoD and related government agencies are not allowing Chinese-related products into their programs. So be sure to check your organization's policy before purchasing any products. Standardizing on one drone manufacturer, or if possible, one drone airframe, does simplify aircraft maintenance and repairs, basically less parts that you have to support. Operations that require long-distance flight or wide-scale mapping are typically better served with fixed-wing, of course. Fixed-wing platforms lack the maneuverability and ease of use associated with multi-rotors, but offer superior endurance. Many of the applications suited for fixed-wing aircraft remain limited by FAA regulations prohibiting beyond visual line of sight without a special waiver. A flight application is used to control the drone during flight. Now you can find many drone flight applications available in various iOS or Android app stores, and several of them are actually available for free. And most manufacturers offer either free or reasonable cost flight applications. So check with the manufacturer on what they require. A flight application designed specifically for commercial use is typically the better choice. A commercial flight application should offer simplicity of interface with only a few functions that are definitely required and should orient towards safety and security. Now, your process in selecting a flight application is like selecting a sensor. You must first determine the results you are wanting and the goals you wish to achieve, and those are the baselines on how you select your application. Used mainly for mapping, autonomous flight plan tools are definitely improving every year. Now, this allows repeatability and it enables contour mapping, can free the pilot to focus on images rather than flying. Such as an example for the utilities are contour flights, post-events assessment, so you can quickly fly a specific pattern to see any damage, fire, ice storms, earthquakes, so forth. Flight plans, engineering flight plans, are critical to get and to obtain contour maps. I highly recommend you to look at software that assesses your flight boundaries and ensures it's not under any restrictions required by the FAA for pre-flight planning. Now, there are many companies out there that offer this feature. So you want to select these based on how you use them and how will you integrate to your drone operations manual. The FAA has a free one that's very good. It's called Before You Fly that I'd highly recommend. LANC-C requesting airspace authorization and documenting your receipt ensures you're following the rules of the air. LANC-C requests are embedded in a number of the software. Weather forecasting also is embedded in some of this software. Knowing the day of flight weather helps you plan for what gear to bring. And you really got to determine what weather forecasting app that you're going to be using, because you will end up really wanting it. Software management is really the essential way to get the most out of your operation program. And this is where you would store image, or you do image management. This is maybe where you'd process them. But more importantly, this is where you're going to be doing the documentation. And you're going to conform to the FAA requirements. Flight logging, certification management, equipment management, and basically getting the reports so that you can manage the event better. As I mentioned, software will help you comply with the policies and procedures. The public demands safety, trust, and compliance to establish these FAA and community guidelines. Policies and procedure documents these expectations with organizations and contractors. Implemented correctly, you can think of software as a set of guardrails to guide and ensure compliance to your policies and procedures. Software provides structure and ensures compliance. Now, the benefit of using software in this way is that new employees and contractors will learn your operation quickly and effectively. You must take an account of how we are going to store, recall, and protect your images, because it's all about images and data that you're collecting and action plans that you will do upon those. So you must think ahead of your utility operations. to determine if it is imperative to have a history of your assets to see changes, maybe by comparing to previous pictures and current pictures. The images can also be used as evidence in litigation. Post-event outages can be utilized when communicating to your customers. So having the file structures to easily identify and attach pictures to related structure in your GIS system can really enhance the quality of information and what to do on actions. Software, of course, leads us into how you're going to manage it, how you're going to back up and transfer and process images. And do you do it on site, or do you do it back in the office? How much storage you're going to need, what card readers you're going to have, and how do you take those hundreds of weird named pictures and rename them effectively so it's something more meaningful. How are you going to set up your directory structure so that you can see images that you took maybe a week ago or a month ago, even a year ago, and compare them to one another? When you're in the field, it's very important that your image capture is at high quality, that your lens is clean and clear, and the camera is functioning properly, and your lighting didn't obscure your target. So you have to learn how to shoot for your image, so that back in the office, you should be able to zoom in and process the image to highlight images that is imperative for the time. Translating your flight into a report that documents all actionable items to follow up upon is a critical last step. Utilizing this report as an entry to your work order system will ensure that all issues are found and are followed upon. Also, I'm going to make sure that you feed that back into your data processing so that you know that work has occurred. So some of the questions that you want to give yourself is, what information do you need to track to sufficiently create a work order? How serious it is? And is this something that can be handled during scheduled maintenance, or should it be addressed more urgently? And do you integrate with your GIS system? And if so, how do you want to structure the layers within the GIS? And do you highlight issues for your PUC and management? So you want to make sure that the report is an effective report when delivered. Documented your intended flight plan and actual flight information for the day on the flight is required. Well, you can document this on paper by choosing the right software. Software is a guardrail on compliance. Flight notes can help future flights. Being able to compile hours for your pilots and equipment can help you forecast maintenance and training requirements. Flight data can be exposed to the public to quell any inquiries of why drones were being flown in that area. While the FAA currently requires Part 107, it must be renewed every 2 years. And how do you ensure every pilot is up to date and to be tracked can be done through the compliance portion of software. Now, other important items you want to track is if you have any waivers. When is it going to expire? What's the renewal? Insurance. Any recurrent safety training that you may require. And also load information about your pilots, from driver's license to certificates. And any other certificates, such as, are they mission ready? And what's the mission ready status? And we'll talk about this during the last module in regards to training. Equipment manager, tracking usage and keeping spare inventory. Are you following manufacturer's prescribed maintenance? Software will help you that. Tracking it, maintaining issues, tracking costs and budgets. Things do wear out. And how many hours are you getting on the average before you have to replace? So this can be a preventive maintenance. Do you have spare parts to ensure that you don't interrupt or have the inability to fly? In the event of crashes or an accident, what checklist are you going to do and use to ensure flight readiness? These can be all tracked via software. Communicating to your management on your drone operations is imperative. showing cost savings, cost avoidance, and how drones have helped your operations can be great for publicity. How many issues have you found? What are the severity? Are patterns emerging with any type of equipment? These can be blended into software. Software is a way that you can contain the information and bring reports that are meaningful to your organization. Thank you for joining us. These are just some of the tools that's available to you so that when you design your drone program, it can be effective for your operations. Feel free to contact me at any time and also take a look at other programs that are available at the website. Thank you.